The R&B industry has had its share of tensions and rivalries. While some beef has made headlines, others have flown under the radar, surprising fans who only saw unity and camaraderie in the genre. Here are some lesser-known R&B beefs that may surprise you. Number 1. Aretha Franklin and Tina. At the 2008 Grammy Awards, Beyoncé paid homage to Tina Turner by referring to her as the Queen. This gesture of respect sparked a notable controversy involving two of the most iconic figures in music history, Tina Turner and Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, widely celebrated as the Queen of Soul, took offense at Beyoncé's designation of Turner as the Queen. Franklin's reaction reflected her strong sense of her legacy and her place in the music industry. She asserted her title as the only true Queen of Soul.
I cannot really discuss that with you right now.
Yeah. When you...
Highlighting her pioneering role and significant impact on the genre of soul music. In response, Tina Turner defended herself with a pointed remark. She acknowledged Franklin's title as the Queen of Soul, but emphasized her claim to the title of Queen of Rock and Roll. Turner's response was a mix of assertiveness and humor, suggesting that, with so many prominent artists in attendance, Franklin's reaction was a sign of an inflated ego. Turner commented, "Her ego must be so big to think she was the only one." This implied that such titles were not exclusive, and that the term Queen could apply to multiple influential figures in the industry. Aretha Franklin's subsequent remarks further illustrated her frustration. She expressed disappointment that Turner would engage in public disputes to boost her profile, stating she had never expected Turner to resort to such tactics to sell a few tickets. She had always viewed Turner as being in a higher class than that. Franklin's comments revealed her perception of Turner's response as a strategic move, rather than a genuine assertion of her accomplishments. Number 2. Brandy and Monica. One might think the feud between Tina Turner and Aretha Franklin was intense, but the rivalry between Brandy and Monica is even more storied. The feud between Brandy and Monica is one of the most notable and enduring rivalries in R&B music history. Both artists rose to prominence as teenage stars in the mid-late 90s, and their careers have often been compared due to their similar trajectories and styles. The rivalry between them, fueled by competitive energy and media sensationalism, became a significant part of their public personas. The tension between Brandy and Monica began early in their careers. Both singers were introduced to the music scene with impressive debut albums, Brandy with her self-titled album in 1994, and Monica with Miss Thang in 1995. The press and fans often pitted them against each other, creating a competitive atmosphere. The rivalry was characterized by subtle digs and competitive remarks, which kept the media buzzing and fueled public speculation about their relationship. In 1998, the two artists collaborated on the blockbuster duet "The Boy Is Mine," which was seen as a major moment of reconciliation between them. The song became a massive hit, topping the Billboard Hot 100 for 13 consecutive weeks. This success was interpreted as a sign that the two had put aside their differences, at least publicly, and were willing to work together. The track's success demonstrated that their combined talents could produce remarkable results, and it was celebrated as a milestone in both of their careers.
At the time that I was recording Human, I didn't really know how special it was or how vulnerable.
Despite the perceived truce, the rivalry flared up again in 2016. The renewed tension was sparked by Brandy's response to a fan's request for her to participate in the Monica-inspired So Far Gone challenge on social media. The challenge, which was part of a larger social media trend, brought back old animosities and reignited the feud. The situation gained significant attention online, and Brandy's reaction became a topic of discussion among fans and media outlets. The public resurgence of their feud was further fueled by Brandy's performance at the 2016 Soul Train Awards. During the event, Brandy made a pointed remark in her performance that was widely interpreted as a clap back at Monica. Number 3. Lyfe Jennings and Raheem. This is the craziest beef in R&B. In March 2010, a notable clash erupted between singers, Lyfe Jennings and Raheem DeVaughn, two prominent vocalists with their distinctive styles. Both artists were scheduled to perform at separate clubs in Virginia, which set the stage for their dramatic confrontation. The incident began when Jennings made an unexpected move during a visit to radio station 103 JMZ in Norfolk. After a perceived challenge from DeVaughn, Jennings offered to remix one of DeVaughn's albums in full, a bold gesture that stirred the pot. The situation escalated quickly when DeVaughn arrived at the station with his entourage just minutes after Jennings had left. The timing and circumstances suggested that DeVaughn's presence was a direct response to Jennings' earlier offer, intensifying the tension between the two artists. This encounter marked the beginning of a public feud that would continue to simmer over the following years. The rivalry between Jennings and DeVaughn reignited in 2013 with the release of Jennings' track ABCs. In this song, Jennings mentioned a list of R&B stars, including DeVaughn, in a way that was perceived as disparaging. DeVaughn took offense to the name drop, interpreting it as a direct insult. The situation quickly gained traction in the media, with fans and industry insiders closely watching the unfolding drama. In response to DeVaughn's reaction, Jennings took to Twitter to escalate the conflict. He accused DeVaughn of threatening him with shooters and labeled him a soft-ass nigga, further fueling the feud. Jennings' social media outburst was a clear attempt to assert dominance and provoke a reaction, intensifying the public nature of their dispute. Despite the heated exchanges and public insults, the rivalry between Jennings and DeVaughn never escalated into physical violence. The feud remained largely verbal, with both artists trading barbs through interviews and social media. Over time, the intensity of their conflict appeared to diminish, and the beef between them gradually faded from the spotlight. Number 4. The Dream and The Weeknd. The beef between The Dream and The Weeknd is a prime example of how competitive tensions can arise in the music industry. The conflict began in 2012 during a concert in New York City, where The Dream, known for his distinctive falsetto and R&B hits, accused The Weeknd of copying his style. The Dream, whose real name is Terrius Nash, felt that The Weeknd, a rising star at the time, was emulating his signature vocal techniques and musical approach, which he had made popular in his work. The Weeknd, whose real name is Abel Tesfaye, did not take kindly to The Dream's accusations. In response, he took to Twitter to mock The Dream, targeting his appearance rather than addressing the musical critique. The Weeknd likened The Dream to the McDonald's mascot, the Hamburglar, a jibe aimed at his look rather than his music.
I think with R&B, the part that holds it together is human-to-human contact and relationships, ups and downs.
This Twitter feud quickly drew attention as fans and media followed the back-and-forth exchanges between the two artists. The Dream's reaction to The Weeknd's Twitter taunts was measured but firm. He responded by urging for a positive approach in promoting love, while also cautioning The Weeknd not to mistake his kindness for weakness. The Dream's message was a blend of diplomacy and a subtle warning, aiming to diffuse the situation while standing his ground. His response was an attempt to maintain professionalism despite the public nature of the feud. The Weeknd's playful insult and The Dream's subsequent warning highlighted a clash between the two artists' public personas. The Weeknd, known for his enigmatic and sometimes provocative style, used humor and social media to address the criticism, while The Dream, who had built his career on crafting successful R&B hits, chose a more reserved but assertive approach in his response. Number 5. Brian McKnight vs. Chris Brown. In June 2012, Brian McKnight found himself at the center of controversy due to his viral hit I for Ready to Learn, which had received significant backlash for its explicit and provocative content. The song's suggestive lyrics and tone drew criticism, leading McKnight to turn to Twitter to address the public's negative reaction. In his attempt to defend himself, McKnight made a misstep by referencing Chris Brown's 2009 assault on Rihanna, a highly sensitive and contentious issue. McKnight's tweet suggested that, given the strong opinions people had, he was considering renting a Lamborghini and engaging in violent behavior toward his partner, implying that such actions were now seen as acceptable. The comment was a misguided attempt to highlight what he perceived as a double standard in public opinion, but it instead sparked outrage. His reference to Brown's infamous legal troubles was seen as distasteful and inflammatory, given the serious nature of the incident and the ongoing discussions about domestic violence. Chris Brown, known for his volatile personality and active presence on social media, did not take kindly to McKnight's comments. Responding quickly on Twitter, Brown disparaged McKnight, labeling him as old and irrelevant. Brown's retort was fueled by the insult McKnight had indirectly aimed at him through the reference. The exchange saw Brown leveraging his social media platform to belittle McKnight and assert his dominance in the ongoing public discourse. McKnight's reaction to Brown's attack was notably absent. The singer chose not to engage further with Brown or the situation, resulting in a missed opportunity to address the fallout from his original comment. This silence contributed to the situation becoming a classic example of keeping it real going wrong, where an attempt at honesty or provocation backfires spectacularly and escalates into further controversy. Number 6. 50 Cent's and The Game. 50 Cent's long-standing feud with The Game took a fresh turn in early 2022, reigniting a rivalry that had seemed to cool down over the years. Despite periods of apparent truce, the relationship between the two rappers deteriorated once more, fueled by a series of public incidents and social media exchanges. The tension resurfaced in March 2022 when 50 Cent mocked The Game after the latter appeared to be snubbed by Jimmy Iovine at a basketball game. Iovine, a prominent music executive and co-founder of Interscope Records, had been a significant figure in both artists' careers, and the snub seemed to strike a nerve with The Game. 50 Cent took the opportunity to poke fun at the situation, exacerbating the existing animosity between the two. The Game responded to 50 Cent's taunts during a performance in Houston, which happens to be 50 Cent's new home state. During the show, The Game went on a vehement tirade against 50 Cent, referring to him with derogatory terms and asserting that he still doesn't fuck with 50 Cent. He emphasized his disdain by declaring that he would criticize 50 Cent regardless of the location, whether it be Houston, New York, or elsewhere, and referred to him as a straight bipétiste. 50 Cent's reaction to The Game's outburst was characteristically defiant. Instead of engaging in a direct verbal exchange, he opted for a more dismissive approach. On Instagram, he posted a GIF of himself laughing and driving away, which was a signature move in his social media playbook for mocking rivals. This visual response was both a taunt and a display of nonchalance, reinforcing his position of not taking The Game's insults too seriously. The renewed animosity between the two rappers highlights the volatile nature of their relationship. Despite having periods of apparent reconciliation, such as their public gestures of truce or the lack of recent diss tracks, the feud between 50 Cent and The Game has proven to be resilient. The public exchanges and social media sparring reflect how deeply rooted their rivalry is and how it continues to flare up with new provocations. As of mid-2022, it appears that the feud between 50 Cent and The Game is unlikely to be resolved anytime soon. Their mutual disdain and how they interact publicly suggest that their conflict is far from over. Number 7. Gucci, Mane, and Jeezy. 50 Cent's beef might be legendary, but the drama between Gucci Mane and Jeezy takes the crown for intensity and duration. The feud between Gucci Mane and Jeezy is one of the most intense and storied rivalries in hip-hop, rooted in a combination of personal, financial, and violent disputes that have evolved over the years. The origins of the beef trace back to a financial disagreement stemming from their 2005 collaboration on the track Icy. Both artists were emerging figures in the southern rap scene, and the song was a significant joint effort. However, tensions began to surface regarding money and credit for the song, which set the stage for further animosity between the two. The situation was exacerbated by the competitive nature of the music industry, where disputes over royalties and credit are common. The rivalry intensified with both Gucci Mane and Jeezy taking shots at each other through their music. They used their respective tracks to air grievances and throw subliminal jabs, which only served to escalate the conflict. The back and forth exchanges through music and interviews contributed to a growing public feud, drawing in fans and industry insiders alike. The feud took a darker turn in 2005, when a violent confrontation dramatically changed the course of their rivalry. A group of men, including Pookie Lock, who was an associate of Jeezy, broke into a house where Gucci Mane was present. Gucci Mane, who was armed and felt threatened, defended himself during the break-in. In the ensuing altercation, Gucci Mane shot and killed Pookie Lock, resulting in a high-profile legal and personal fallout. This incident added a layer of violence to the already simmering dispute between Gucci Mane and Jeezy.
Plain, man. You know, if you, my thing is, if you believe it long enough, then the people believe it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, but do the ladies believe it? The ladies got your action?
The murder of Pookie Lock was a pivotal moment in the feud, with Jeezy and his associates reacting to the loss in various ways. The violent nature of the confrontation brought the rivalry to new heights, with both artists continuing to exchange barbs and threats in their music and public appearances. The situation became a source of significant media attention and intensified the public's fascination with the feud. Despite the violence and animosity, there were periods of attempted reconciliation. Both artists have occasionally hinted at wanting to resolve their differences. For example, in recent years, there have been instances where Gucci Mane and Jeezy engaged in public discussions about putting their feud behind them. However, the history of the rivalry and the violence involved means that trust and genuine resolution are challenging to achieve. Number 8. Pusha T and Jones. The tension between Jim Jones and Pusha T exploded into public view following a series of provocative statements and responses. The conflict began when Jim Jones, a prominent figure in Harlem's Dipset crew, publicly dismissed Pusha T as overrated during a series of interviews last year. Jones's comments were perceived as an unwarranted slight against the Virginia native, known for his sharp lyricism and influential presence in hip-hop. Pusha T, never one to shy away from controversy, responded to Jones's remarks with a pointed jab in an unreleased clips track. The song made its debut during Pharrell Williams' fashion show, where Pusha T walked the runway as part of Pharrell's first collection for Louis Vuitton as men's creative director. Although Pusha T did not explicitly mention Jim Jones by name, the lyrics left little doubt about his target. Fans quickly connected the dots, recognizing the diss aimed squarely at Jones. In response, Jim Jones took to his platform to address the slight. He delivered a counterattack through his summer collection freestyle, where he mocked Pusha T's attempt to call him out. Jones' retort was laced with humor and defiance, as he laughed off the diss and used the opportunity to assert his position in the rap hierarchy. Since that exchange, Pusha T has remained relatively silent on the matter, choosing not to escalate the beef further. However, his history with Drake, which showcased the rapper's ability to engage in prolonged and complex feuds.
But now my family is being harassed online and accosted in public, apparently because some people can't handle seeing my happily ever after.
Suggests that this issue with Jim Jones might not be resolved anytime soon. The ongoing rivalry has left fans anticipating further developments, as both artists have proven their commitment to maintaining their respective stances in the ever-evolving landscape of hip-hop conflicts. Number 9. Nas and Jay-Z. The rivalry between Nas and Jay-Z, two titans of New York rap, is one of the most storied feuds in hip-hop history. The tension between the two began when Nas reportedly turned down Jay-Z's request to feature on the track Bring It On for Jay's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. This slight was perceived as a challenge to Jay-Z's career, and the seeds of discord were planted. In June 1996, Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt was released, notably including a Nas sample on the song Dead Presidents 2. The sample was seen as a subtle but provocative jab, signaling that the rivalry was now a public affair. Both rappers began to take veiled shots at each other through interviews and lyrics over the next few years, with each subtle reference heightening the tension between them. The conflict escalated dramatically in 2001, when Jay-Z made a direct and scathing attack on Nas in his freestyle performance of Takeover, which was later released as a track. Jay-Z's aggressive lyrics and personal jabs marked a new level of animosity, drawing Nas into a heated battle. In response, Nas released Ether, a ferocious diss track that not only retaliated against Jay-Z's criticisms, but also cemented Nas's reputation as a formidable force in hip-hop. Jay-Z retaliated with his track, Super Ugly, further fueling the fire. However, the situation took a turn when Jay-Z received a call from his mother, expressing concern over the personal nature of the attacks. In a 2001 appearance on Hot 97, Jay-Z revealed the impact of his mother's call on him. He explained that his mother had called him, saying the situation had gone too far, something she had never done regarding his music. This prompted him to acknowledge the need to address the issue. Jay-Z acknowledged his misjudgment and expressed regret for the excessive disrespect, recognizing the need to address the situation with more sensitivity. Following Jay-Z's apology, the animosity between the two rappers seemed to subside. The apology marked a turning point, and the feud was effectively put to rest, with both artists eventually reconciling and respecting each other's contributions to the genre. Number 10. Nicki and Latto. Nicki Minaj's feud with Latto in 2022 began over a disagreement with the Recording Academy's categorization of Minaj's song Super Freaky Girl. When the Grammys moved her track to the pop category, Minaj argued that Latto's Big Energy should also be considered pop if hers was. She tweeted, "If SFG, Super Freaky Girl, has 2B moved out rap, then so does Big Energy." This sparked a heated exchange between the two artists. Minaj shared private DMs with Latto to make her case, accusing Latto of being inconsistent. Latto fired back, criticizing Minaj for subtweeting her and using the hashtag 40oxyear-old-bully. She also brought up Minaj's brother's past legal issues, intensifying the feud. Minaj responded by calling Latto an entitled Karen and giving her the nickname Scratch Off. The feud played out publicly for days, captivating the internet, but the two artists never reconciled. The conflict highlighted underlying issues of fairness and respect within the industry, leaving fans divided over who was in the right. Number 11. 50 Cent and Ja Rule. The feud between 50 Cent and Ja Rule is one of hip-hop's most notorious rivalries, filled with diss tracks, physical confrontations, and relentless trolling. The conflict reportedly started in 1999 after one of 50 Cent's associates robbed Ja Rule of his chain. Ja Rule, however, believes the tension began when he unknowingly snubbed 50 Cent during a music video shoot. As their animosity grew, the two rappers released multiple diss tracks targeting each other, such as 50 Cent's Wanksta and Ja Rule's Loose Change. Their feud escalated beyond music, with several violent encounters, including a brawl in an Atlanta nightclub and a stabbing incident involving 50 Cent at the Hit Factory in New York City, allegedly involving Ja Rule's crew. The beef continued into the 20s and beyond, with 50 Cent consistently trolling Ja Rule. In 2018, 50 Cent purchased hundreds of front-row tickets to Ja Rule's concert, leaving them empty to embarrass him. He also mocked Ja Rule for a performance stunt in Miami, further fueling the feud. Number 12. Mase and Diddy. The feud between Mase and Sean Diddy Combs, which has simmered for over 2 decades, reignited dramatically in 2023. The Harlem rapper released a diss track, Oracle 2, the liberation of Mason Betha, targeting Diddy's recent name change and his handling of Mace's music masters. In the song, Mase accuses Diddy of betrayal, emphasizing the lack of any genuine relationship between them by stating that they are neither a gang, goals, family, nor foes, and certainly not brothers. This track fueled a series of dramatic events, including Mase blaming Diddy for various career setbacks, such as a sabotage performance at the Lovers and Friends Festival and the cancellation of his tour with Cameron and Jadakiss. The dispute escalated when Diddy's mother became involved, and Diddy himself addressed the accusations in an interview on The Breakfast Club. Mase's criticisms continued despite the added controversy surrounding Diddy, including multiple sexual assault lawsuits. Number 13. Miguel Veras, Lloyd. In 2011, R&B singer Lloyd, known for his smooth vocals and hit singles, appeared on the popular music show 106 & Park to promote his comeback album, King of Hearts. At the time, Lloyd was making a significant push to reestablish his presence in the music industry after a brief hiatus. His appearance was noted for its distinctive style, which seemed to resonate with fans and critics alike. However, Lloyd's look didn't sit well with everyone. Miguel, a rising star in the R&B scene who was gaining attention for his unique style, took to Twitter to accuse Lloyd of copying his aesthetic. Miguel's tweet suggested that Lloyd had borrowed elements from his fashion and presentation, sparking a minor controversy between the two artists. Miguel's critique seemed to be a reaction to what he perceived as an infringement on his style, which had been a crucial part of his emerging brand identity. In response to Miguel's accusations, Lloyd addressed the situation during an interview with Devi Dev. Rather than escalating the conflict, Lloyd chose to downplay the situation, expressing his indifference to Miguel's remarks. He mentioned his willingness to address the issue face-to-face if necessary, but he did not seem inclined to pursue the matter further. Lloyd's reaction was more focused on maintaining his professional demeanor rather than engaging in a public feud. The initial friction between Lloyd and Miguel quickly became a minor footnote in the broader context of their careers. Despite the brief buzz generated by the dispute, the beef did not escalate into a prolonged or high-profile conflict. Both artists continued to focus on their respective music careers, and the disagreement between them faded from public attention. Over time, the incident became a blip on the radar, largely forgotten as both Lloyd and Miguel moved on with their careers. The nature of the beef was such that it did not significantly impact either artist's trajectory or public image. Number 14. Tupac and Biggie. The Lloyd-Miguel feud was a minor episode, but Tupac and Biggie's beef remains one of the most tragic and significant rivalries in the history of hip-hop. Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G., originally friends and collaborators, had their relationship deteriorate into a bitter and destructive conflict that would ultimately shape the landscape of rap music and end in tragedy. Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, first crossed paths in the early 90s. Both emerging as influential figures in hip-hop, they initially collaborated and shared mutual respect. However, as their careers progressed, underlying tensions began to surface. The turning point came in 1994 when Tupac was shot multiple times at Quad Recording Studios in New York City. Tupac accused Biggie and his associates of being involved in the attack, alleging that they had set him up. Although Biggie and his camp denied any involvement, the accusation marked the beginning of a bitter and highly publicized feud. The shooting incident not only intensified the personal animosity between Tupac and Biggie, but also fueled a larger East Coast versus West Coast rivalry in hip-hop. Tupac, based on the West Coast, and Biggie, representing the East Coast, became the focal points of this feud. Their conflict was exacerbated by their respective record labels, media coverage, and the involvement of other artists. Tupac's response to the perceived betrayal included powerful diss tracks, like Hit 'Em Up and Against All Odds, where he lashed out at Biggie and accused him of betrayal and being complicit in the shooting. Hit 'Em Up, in particular, was a scathing attack that included personal insults and threats. Biggie retaliated with his diss tracks, including Who Shot Ya and Long Kiss Goodnight. While Who Shot Ya was released before the shooting incident involving Tupac, it was interpreted as a direct jab at Tupac and contributed to the escalating tension. The feud, further intensified with the involvement of Biggie's associates and other West Coast rappers, including Snoop Dogg and Thaw Dogg Pound. Snoop Dogg and his crew released New York, which was seen as a direct challenge to Biggie and the East Coast. The beef extended beyond music into interviews and press conferences, with both rappers taking shots at each other in the media. Their public exchanges often included personal attacks, further fueling the rivalry. The media played a significant role in amplifying the feud, with sensationalized reports and coverage that intensified public interest and division. The feud between Tupac and Biggie came to a tragic end with the untimely deaths of both artists. On September 7, 1996, Tupac Shakur was shot multiple times in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He succumbed to his injuries 6 days later on September 13, 1996. Less than 6 months after Tupac's death, on March 9, 1997, the notorious B.I.G. was killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles. Both murders remain unsolved, with various theories and speculations about the motives and culprits behind the killings. Many believe that the ongoing East Coast versus West Coast tensions, exacerbated by the personal feud between Tupac and Biggie, contributed to the tragic outcomes. Despite their deaths, Tupac Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. continue to be celebrated as iconic figures in hip-hop, with their music and legacies. Number 15, Drake and Kendrick. The rap game is no stranger to heated rivalries, but the months-long feud between Drake and Kendrick Lamar has quickly cemented itself as one of the most high-profile and glorified beef in recent hip-hop history. As two of the most influential figures in rap, both Drake and Kendrick have captivated fans with their lyrical prowess, unique styles, and ability to craft compelling narratives. When these two titans clashed, it was inevitable that the entire hip-hop community would be watching closely. What began with subtle jabs quickly escalated into a full-blown battle that saw both artists release diss track after diss track, each one attempting to one-up the other in a game of lyrical chess. The beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar reached a boiling point when Drake, alongside J. Cole, took to the mic on First Person Shooter to call out the big three of hip-hop. This track, while not mentioning Kendrick directly, was perceived as a shot across the bow, challenging Kendrick's place among the rap elite. In response, Kendrick Lamar teamed up with Future and Metro Boomin to deliver Like That, a track that seemed to serve as a direct rebuttal to Drake's claims, establishing the tone for what would become a contentious back and forth between the two rap heavyweights. The tension in these tracks was palpable, as Kendrick used his verses to assert his dominance and dismiss Drake's claims to the throne. Drake fired back with Push-Ups, a track that took a more personal approach, aiming to expose Kendrick and challenge his credibility in the rap game. This was followed by the AI-generated tailor-made freestyle, which took the beef in a bizarre new direction. The use of AI in a diss track added an unexpected twist to the feud and demonstrated Drake's willingness to experiment and innovate, even in the context of a beef. Kendrick Lamar, however, was not to be outdone. He unleashed a barrage of tracks, including Euphoria, 616 in LA, Not Like Us, and Meet the Grams. Each track was more venomous than the last, with Kendrick methodically dissecting Drake's persona, career, and authenticity. On Not Like Us, Kendrick didn't just attack Drake's skills as a rapper, he questioned his character, accused him of being manufactured, and took aim at his reliance on pop appeal. The song became an anthem for Kendrick's fans and secured its place on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, solidifying its impact. One of the most shocking aspects of this beef was how both rappers dragged their families into the crossfire. The feud went beyond mere musical competition. It became personal. Kendrick's Meet the Grams aimed at Drake's family, suggesting that his upbringing and family dynamics had shaped him into someone unworthy of the top spot in hip-hop. In return, Drake's Family Matters hit back with equal force, aiming to dismantle Kendrick's image by exposing personal details about his family life. This strategy of involving family members added a raw, emotional layer to the feud, making it resonate on a deeper level with fans and the public. As the feud progressed, both artists continued to trade insults not only in their music, but also on social media. Drake, known for his strategic use of Instagram to communicate with his fans and rivals, used the platform to mock Kendrick and promote his tracks. However, his decision to later remove all mentions of the beef from his Instagram account signaled a potential concession. Meanwhile, Kendrick's The Heart. Part 6 served as his final word on Wax, a powerful and poetic summation of the feud that showcased his ability to weave personal and political narratives into his music. The public response to The Heart. Part 6 was divided. While the track amassed over 750,000 likes on YouTube, it also garnered an overwhelming 1.5 million dislikes, illustrating the polarizing nature of this feud. Still, the numbers seem to favor Kendrick overall, with Not Like Us maintaining its position on the Billboard Hot 100, a testament to its cultural impact and Kendrick's perceived victory in the beef. Ultimately, the majority of fans and critics agreed that Kendrick Lamar emerged victorious in this battle. His relentless barrage of tracks, combined with his ability to expose perceived weaknesses in Drake's persona and music, positioned him as the winner in the eyes of many. The beef also solidified Kendrick's reputation as a fearless and unapologetic artist, willing to go to great lengths to defend his place in hip-hop. What do you think of these feuds? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Did you like this video? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more entertaining videos. And do not forget to explore our other videos for more interesting stories and insights.